Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm okay. So for today, we're going to start our lesson with a study on humanism, structuralism, and post-structuralism. Okay. Now, please, I cannot force you, but you should show me your faces. Thank you, Aisha Shakira, for showing me your faces. Because at the end of the day, some of you may want to get letters of recommendation, right, from me, because you're already in your 4th year. So I wouldn't know how to know who I'm recommending if you have sat for my class and you didn't show me your face. I think you'll be the. I'm not really sure about this, but there is the possibility that you'll be the first COVID related graduation, right? I mean, graduating batch, because we are having problems also seeing your we are having problems with the COVID situation in Malaysia right now, right? So it is possible that it's going to be long distance learning all the way through until you graduate. There is a possibility of that happening. So it's good at least to know who I am teaching, because if you ask me for your letters of recommendation, at least I know who I'm talking to, where which class you had enrolled in, right? Okay, so for today we're going to cover. Next week there'll be a mid-semester break, right? So I'm trying to finish as much as I can on 2 topics. The first is to provide a conclusion to the humanism, structuralism, and post-structuralism theories, and then to move on to psychoanalysis. Okay, so for today, because I have posted all videos on your WhatsApp group, right? Okay, I did, right? Okay, so I hope you have watched them, because it's your responsibility to watch them. And there are people also who have asked me about my humanism, structuralism, post-structuralism, but I haven't seen on YouTube yet the question. Okay, so however, I do want to ask you what you have learned from the humanism, structuralism, post-structuralism lessons that we had. Yeah. Now we had an additional lesson on that, which is an interlude. Okay, interlude on all the theories. Now, going back to what I have said from the very first class, they will be not from the very first class, but towards the end of the last lesson or sometime like that, we are going to have a quiz when you come back to the university. Okay, preferably on Tuesday. Okay, so it'll be an online quiz. So I would like to No, for this class, it will be on Monday. So Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday is for my other class. So I'm going to ask you about questions that are related to humanism, structuralism, and post-structuralism. So if you have any issues about these three theories, you can mention them to me. But I want, do you have any question about them? About humanism? You understand? Humanism is the how it shows how humans process knowledge, and knowledge that is gained from their senses, and their minds tell them how to make sense of the knowledge. Okay, so the next theory is structuralism. Structuralism says that we make sense of this world, we gain knowledge through structures of language. Because when we don't have a word for something, a concept, we don't have the concept. Okay, so the structuralists say that language speaks us, language tells us how to think. Okay, and then we have post-structuralism, where we are taught that a signifier can have many signifiers. Any signifiers can have many signifiers, meaning any word can have many meanings. So the structures are no longer there, because it's supposed to be signifier for structuralism. It's supposed to be signifier, one signifier for one signified. But one signified can have many signifiers because there are many languages. Okay, so it's basically one-on-one relationship, although it's arbitrary. But for post-structuralism, it's one signifier that can have many signifiers. So it's no longer one word that has one meaning. No, one word has many meaning for post-structuralists. Yeah. So it is an ambiguous word, because it can be interpreted in many ways. It has many meanings. Words like rose, for example, rose can stand for young lady, can stand for England, can stand for young lady England, and the ideas of the French Revolution and so on. Yeah. So this idea that one word can mean many things is very useful for literature, because it means that we can use metaphors, similes, for example, in writing literature. Okay, and we also dealt with Derrida's idea on center and so on. Okay, so, and the binary oppositions. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. Okay, what can I ask you about this the slides that we had seen, or do you have any questions about the slides that we had seen? Okay, no questions so far. Can I ask you one question? Okay, so what term, according to Derrida, is in a binary oppositions, there are positive and negative terms, right? Now, which term is closer to the center? The center is where every one of the terms come from. A center could be a very, what do you call that? Patriarchal center. It concentrates on male power, because society itself is very patriarchal. It's very supportive of male power. Okay, so what word in binary opposition that is related to gender, for example, masculine / feminine is closer to the center? Which word, masculine or feminine, closer to the center? Can somebody answer me? Can you, Khairun Wara, right? Anwar?
Yes. The answer is masculine.
Yes. So masculine, the idea of masculinity is closer to the center. And why is it closer to the center? Can you mention to me? Why is it closer to the center?
What is it, Doctor?
Why is it closer to the center?
Why is it closer to the center?
Why is the term masculine closer to the center?
Or because man has some kind of privilege in a patriarchal society, for example, they are higher than women. Perceive, the society is perceiving these people
Okay.
like that.
Okay. We also have something called signified and signifiers, right?
Yes.
The meaning. Okay. So which has more signifieds? Masculine or feminine?
Which has more signified.
Yeah. Okay. Which has more signifieds? Masculine or feminine?
Feminine.
Feminine. Okay. So the one that is closer to the center, actually, the one that is further away from the center has many signifieds, many meaning. For example, a woman can wear pants, can wear skirts, and so on, right? But so they have many signifieds. But for masculine, the idea of masculinity says that a man, for example, because masculinity is supposed to represent man, um, can only wear pants. So they have less signified. So anything that has less signified is closer to the center. Okay. So when has less signified, it means that it is also stable. The relationship between the center and the binary opposition is very stable. Between patriarchal society and the phrase that is closer to the center is very stable. Yeah? But what is the how do you describe the phrase that has many signifiers? It undergoes some kind of movement, right? Yeah. It, no, which is in opposition to the phrase that is closer to the center, which is very stable. So, what do we call this kind of movement? Can somebody tell me? Afika Hanafi, can you tell me?
Is
What
it
do we call this kind of movement?
the move or play, doctor?
Yes, we call it play. Okay, when a word has many meanings in a way, okay, we call it play. The word is experiencing play. So Derrida was saying that not only because he believed that this structure, the center and the binary oppositions that surround it, are all constructed by humans or society. So they are socially constructed. They're created by people. Okay, who says that men has to wear pants and women have to can wear skirts or pants? Society. Society says it. So everything is socially constructed. So when you have something that is socially constructed, you can deconstruct it. You can destroy the structure. Okay. For example, a man, for example, can wear skirts. Yeah. So I want to show you. Maybe if I can get a picture of men wearing skirts. Yeah. Um, okay. So these are some of the pictures. Men wearing skirts. People who have tried to deconstruct the idea of gender. Okay. Okay. So then we are met also with the idea that um, I want to show you a slide on humanism, structuralism. These are just some of the other slides, yeah, that links all the theories. We have something called the idea that literature is timeless. Yeah, it is sorry, it can easily be understood by all generation, appreciated by all generation. Shakespeare, for example, is said to be the masterpiece or the genius that is for all times. Yeah, he is the most creative individual in literature. So we have also the emphasis on the text rather than the historical context. And the text will reveal constant universal truths about human nature, which is constant and unchanging. The purpose of literature, which is the enhancement of human life and propagation of human values. Yeah. So literature work is also sincere, honest to experience. The narrator must be reliable. Literature is valuable because it shows us our true nature. Yeah. So we have that kind of idea about, I mean, the humanists had that kind of idea about literature. And then we also have something called structuralism, which is that language is, language speaks for us, So there is no such concept as what do you call that, creative genius such as Shakespeare in literature, because according to the structuralists, every writer writes a piece of literature based on pre-existing structures. They just change the structure a bit to create this banter in literature. Yeah. We have gone through this banter in literature, which is a new way of looking at things, but using the old structure. Yeah. And then yeah, it says here, the artist merely inhabits pre-existing structures long that enable them to make any particular text borrow. Okay, so structuralism introduces the idea that we don't speak language, language speaks us. So I have to, this is very disturbing, when there are people who come late, yeah, because then we have to switch on this. Yeah. Okay, so we have um okay, so what is the main difference between structuralists and humanists is that the humanists say that language is the product of the mind through the observation, through hearing about the outside world. You produce language from your mind, but to actually say that language speaks to us, language tells us how to think. So it's no longer a product of our mind. It's actually there, out there, in society. When a society speaks a language, we learn about the world. Um, Finally, humanism held that the human was the source and measure of all things, but to the structuralists, everything is constructed by language. So if there is no such word as I, there will be no concept of I in life. And then it comes to, okay, so, and then we come to the post-structuralism, wherein we are taught the same thing, that language reflects the real world and creates structures to us. Language speaks us, but the language that is spoken in society actually is very unstable and changing and fluid, because the meaning changes according to the society, and it can have more than one meaning in the society. So there is no more one signifier to a signified. Okay, so it can be a lot of signifiers and a lot of signifieds. So everything one think or does to some degree, that is also influenced by one's ideology. Okay, so everything is relative. You all have our own ideologies, our own beliefs according to the post-structuralists. No single belief is truer than other people's beliefs. Everyone's belief is true. Okay, so we are currently in the West, they're currently living in this kind of world where everyone can assume any type of religion they want to assume. For example, you may want to become a Scientologist, or you want to become a Jehovah Witness, or maybe a Seventh-day Adventist. Okay, so all of these religions are true according to that society, wherein every belief is accepted, okay, as being relative. Relative means it is not less true okay, or more true than other people's beliefs. Okay. Um, so there is no such thing as definitive meaning. There is only ambiguity, fluid meaning, and multiplicity of meaning in every word. We have multiplicity of meaning. So there is also no such thing as total theory. Total theory is a theory that views itself as being more or as being truer than other theories. Okay, it's like Islam, for example. Islam believes that it is the real religion, compared to other religions that have been falsified and so on. Yeah? So total theory could also be Marxism. Marxism believes that it is explaining the real world, okay, and wants to change it for the betterment of people. But it believes that it can change the whole world. Yeah, so on. So I want to ask this question. Okay, nobody is wrong. Everybody is right in their own way. Who said this? Can somebody volunteer?
Is it humanism, Doctor?
Um, no. Nobody is wrong. Everybody is right in their own way.
Post-structuralism?
Post-structuralism.
Sharifa, what did you say that Sharifa just now? Which one is it? Hello?
Is it
Which one is
structuralism?
it? Can
Post-structuralism?
structuralism?
Post.
Structuralism believes it's actually
No,
post-structuralism.
post-structuralism.
Okay. Structuralism is actually wrong because it deals with nobody is wrong, everybody is right. It deals with philosophy, first of all, and then it says that everybody is right. So every idea is relative to each other. Okay, so whenever you have that, you have post-structuralism. In structuralism, basically it doesn't deal with philosophy, it deals with words. Like one signifier stands for one signified. So this one is philosophy. Okay. So am I clear about that? It's standing for relativism. Okay. What structurists believe that there is no structure that is truer than the other structures. So it's saying that every structure is okay. But of course, every structure has fractures. Every structure has shortcomings. When it has shortcomings, it can be broken up. Okay. Okay. So how about the second one? I am who I believe myself to be. I am who I believe myself to be. Which is the keyword here? If you have a keyword, you can answer this.
Belief.
Is it humanism, structuralism, or post-structuralism? Which one is it?
Post-structuralism.
Why do you say that?
Because I think it says I am who I believe myself to be, where one person has their own belief.
Okay, everyone has their own belief. But here, okay, it's more like actually it's humanism because it deals with the idea of belief. Okay, I believe myself to be something. Okay, and post-structuralism and structuralism is language. The language is given what you call the emphasis. Okay, yeah. Okay, but it's close one. What you said just now. I guess it's a KBAT kebat question also in that way. I am a woman trapped in a man's body. I am a woman trapped in a man's body. Which one is it? Humanism, structuralism, or post-structuralism? Again?
Structuralism.
Post-structuralism. Yes. I am a woman trapped in a man's body. because you can believe in what you want to believe in. Yes, it's true. Okay, in that sense, it could be post-structuralism as well. I see the point for number 2. Yeah. But here it's challenging. It's challenging the. It's not humanism because it's challenging the idea of the binary oppositions. Okay. Anyone could be a best-selling author if she or he has the winning formula.
Structuralism.
Who can answer this? Anyone can be a best-selling author if he or he has the winning formula. Again? Again? I cannot hear. Sharifah?
Is it structuralism?
Huh? Nur Amira Ramli. Yes, structuralism. Okay, because he believes that a writer, for example, is not a genius. He does not come out with an idea just like that. He has to be following a certain structure that already exists. Okay, so if you have the winning formula in writing, for example, you have a love story, you have some violence, you have some songs in your film, for example, you can be the best-selling author or best-selling filmmaker. Okay, so it is structuralist idea. Okay, am I clear about that? Anyone with any problem? Okay, how about truth is relative? Truth is relative. Which one is it?
Post-structuralism.
Post-structuralism. Yes, post-structuralism. Because every truth is acceptable in this world where there are multiple meanings for a single signifier. No? And so truth is relative. You can believe in the truth. Everybody can believe in their own truth, and so on. So I am because there are those who say that I exist. I am because there are those who say that I exist. Which one is it? Humanism, structuralism, or post-structuralism? I am because there are those who say that I exist. Other people are saying that I exist. So is that humanism, structuralism, or post-structuralism?
Humanism.
Okay. If you say humanism, you are wrong, because the word say, the key word is say. It has something to do with language. If there is no I, for example, there is no word such as I. Structuralists are saying that there's no I, there's no concept such as I, if there is no word for it. So is this a structuralist idea, and also a post-structuralist idea? Okay. I exist because the word I exist. It's basically the same thing. It's the same thing as the one before. Okay. Okay, I want to give you some more questions to make sure that you can answer this.
Doctor?
Yes?
Can you later
Yes?
Can you later explain again what is the difference between the structuralism and post-structuralism?
Okay. You want to explain? Okay, I can explain that. Structuralism is, it starts with humanism. Humanism believes that we understand this world through ourselves. We are the creator of our own knowledge. Okay, but structuralism says language teaches us about this world. Language teaches us what to think about this world. Okay, so in many cases, it's one signifier to a signified. In a language, we have words. One signifier stands for one signified. Okay. Now, according to Saussure, this relationship between one signifier and one signified is very arbitrary. So it can be many signifiers standing for one signified. But he never said that there could be many signifieds. He just said that there could be one signified, but many signifiers, many words in different languages. But in post-structuralism, we have this idea because post-structuralists believe that all the signifiers in this world, all words in this world can have many signifieds. Okay, so can stand for many or can mean many things. For example, the word rose. A rose can mean woman, can mean England, can mean a flower, okay, can mean beauty, and so on. So a word can have many signifieds, many meanings. Now, when Derrida thought about how to deconstruct, how to tell other people that a word is very ambiguous, or words can be very ambiguous, he showed the structure. He lifted up the discussion from merely talking about language to philosophy. In philosophy, he said that there is something called the center, the place where every word in the study of language is the place from every word, the place of origin for every word, and the place that had been the original place of the words. Okay, now these words, these are divided into two. They are binary oppositions. There is one phrase that is closer to the center and another that is further away from the center. Yeah. So when these words that are further away from the center, he said that they can have many meanings. Their signifieds are many. Okay. But those words that are closer to the center, they have limited signifieds. They have less signifieds. So he was saying that since they have less signifieds, they are more stable. There's the words are more stable. They are, we have a concept that is more stable, and then we have also words that are further away, that are less stable, that experience movement, that can be challenged, that can escape the center. It can play around. For example, women can wear pants, can wear skirts. Okay, so they escape society's, what do you call that, rules. They play around. So what sense? So they also say, Derrida also say, if women or femininity, the idea of femininity can have many signifieds, so can masculinity, because everything is created by society, is socially constructed. So the idea that the word nearer to the center needs to be more stable can be deconstructed. Okay. Now, as you have seen from the picture that I've shown you, men can wear skirts. They can challenge the idea that they have to wear pants. Okay, so that is one example. Another would be the idea that we are seeing in the West, people who are married to their same sex. A man, for example, can be a wife. A woman can be a husband. Okay, so that's another example where they challenge the binary oppositions. Now, if this idea that one can challenge binary opposition is taken to the level of philosophy, of language, okay, it can mean that it can be applied to religion, for example. Any religion, for example, Christianity or Islam or even Judaism, it can be whatever you want it to be in the West. Because there are no more structure that can hold it together. That can tell you that one religion is better than the other. Christianity, for example, in Christianity we have many sections, many denominations. For example, Scientology, you have Jehovah's Witness, you have Seventh-day Adventists, you have Mormon religion. So these are all forms of or denominations of Christianity, and no Christianity is right. And other forms of Christianity, other religions is wrong. Everybody is right. Their beliefs, everybody in their beliefs is right. So whenever we have that, whenever we have relativism in ideas, in beliefs, we are experiencing post-structuralism. There's no more structure, because everything is equally correct. Okay, and also if you talk about marriage, a woman can call another woman his wife, okay, or her husband. It's there's no longer the structure. There's no longer there. She can or he can believe in whatever he wants to believe in. Um, am I making sense? Derrida was saying that there's a structure in society, and that structure needs to be broken in terms of philosophy. Can be deconstructed. So have I explained that?
Yes, doctor. Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Do you have anything that you want to ask? I don't know how to. If you have a question that is more, if you have a
Dr.
question, and I
Ali,
can try to explain it.
Dr. earlier you were talking about how Derrida wanted to break down. Okay, so we want to break down all this binary opposition in terms of language-wise, yeah, linguistics-wise. When we want to break this down, does this also include changing the associative relationships of singular words? Like, what does it mean to be a man? Like you said, then we take all the associated words with man. What, masculine, strong, or not emotional? So I suppose in breaking this down, does that mean we try to change or subvert these associations?
Yeah. Anyway, we are subverting the association between a word signifier with the signifier in a way that adds more signifier. We don't take it away, because if we take it away, we are simply constructing another form of binary oppositions. So for masculinity, we say that a man can, for example, be weak and be strong. Okay, we don't want to say that a man can be weak only, because that can create another structure. So who's strong? It could be a woman, right? So if we are creating another structure, if we have that, so what we have is in this world, in this post structure, this idea of the world is ambiguity. The words can be ambiguous. A man, for example, can be weak and strong.
Right.
A woman can be weak and strong, and so on. So ambiguity of meanings.
So right,
In
doctor.
terms of philosophy.
So right, doctor.
Yes.
Example, right? So let's say in literary language or in figurative language. So like we know the Malay word kumbang is male, to use a beetle. So would it be a subversion or an act of trying to break down these associations if we were to say something like beautiful, instead of saying beautiful flower, to say a girl instead, we say beautiful kumbang or something like this. We use it in that way. That's against the standard traditional collocation. Would that be an act of subverting or trying to change the associations?
I think it could be, yes. You're simply giving another signified to the idea of kumbang, right? So yes, it can be subverting the what do you call that, structures, the signifying structure, signifying system of the language itself. Yeah.
Then in that case, so in wherever you find the standard expressions, instead of saying things like kumbang mencari bunga, you reverse it, bunga yang cari kumbang, or in any other variants that's not normally heard. Those would be examples of breaking down, right? Is it? Or are we just substituting one system for another here?
But the bunga has to be a man if you really want to subvert it, right? Because bunga can mencari kumbang, except that it's bunga should stand for a man, and then kumbang should stand for a woman. Yeah. So even though we have that kind of idea, right? Kumbang is a man and bunga is a woman. It's fairly structuralist. But what the post-structuralists are saying is that kumbang can be a man, can be a woman, and bunga can be a man or a woman. So that's
one step further. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't see that.
So, And anything else they want to ask? Okay, I think okay, I can give some questions later on WhatsApp perhaps. Let's see whether anyone has. Okay, so let's go on to psychoanalysis. Okay, psychoanalysis is the
Sorry,
theory.
doctor.
Mhm.
Just
Yes.
one quick one. Just now, when you say a word that's closer to the center is more stable, what do you
Mhm.
mean by it being more stable? It's more what closed to expanding associations?
It has, in a way, it is close in a way because it has limited signifieds. A man, for example, has to
Mm.
be strong and not weak. If weak, our society would say that he is a sotong or uh, ikan bilis and so on. So there are many negative connotations. So a man is expected to be strong. Yeah. So in that sense, close. And then stable, more stable. Okay.
Oh, so in that sense, when we say the word woman is farther away from the center, what we're also saying is that a woman can be a lot more things than a man can.
Yes. Yeah. A lot
Oh,
more things.
oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So let's have a look at psychoanalysis. Um, so this is the first theory that is more specific than the theories that we have learned before. It is. It is. I think it's a humanist theory. It's a humanist theory, but there is a structure to it. Yeah, humanist in the sense that it is this idea that we actually are ruled by something that is inside of us. Our actions are dictated by something that is inside of us, which is our unconscious. Okay, so the founder of this theory is Sigmund Freud, and he was a doctor. He taught people about. He taught people how to. He taught other doctors, other psychiatrists, how to solve people who have mental disorders. He was a medical doctor, but he is the one who expanded the field of and into something that is called the study of the mind. Yeah? So he's not just a doctor of physical ailments. He was also interested in mental health of people, of his patients, and he had several controversial patients. And at that time, there was no such thing as multiple disorder, multiple personality, huh? All these types of psychological disorders. He was the first to come up with this idea of psychology, about the mind and so on, for the first to talk. So he had major contributions. He made major contributions to the field of psychology. Yeah? He was interested. Psychology is the study of abnormal people. Know that, right? So he was the amongst the first, I think, or maybe the first to talk about this, the mental health of abnormal people. So he is. He wrote the civilization and discontents. He was talking about pleasure principle and reality principle. Yeah, I'm just going to summarize because I have mentioned this all on our slide. Yeah? So reality principle is just saying that humans are controlled by their desire, inner desire, and in most sense, it's about fulfilling their sexual desire. So our innermost desire is a sexual one. Yeah? But since we cannot fulfill our sexual desires all the time, so we subliminate it, we repress it, um, so that we can do some work. And this act of repressing is called reality principle. So you want to do some work, yeah? Sublimation is suppressing it. However, when we sublimate, when we repress our sexual desire, it is still there in our mind. Yeah? So it resides in a place called the unconscious. So where is this place? Nobody knows actually, but he says it exists. Now, how do we get from our conscious mind to this unconscious mind? Because there are, sometimes the thing that we repress in our unconscious will seep out into our conscious. And there are three ways: through jokes, through parapraxis, slips of tongue, and through dreams. And for dreams, there are two types: condensation, where we condense an idea into an image that we see perhaps in our dreams. We could be dreaming about a rose, or even a sentence about the rose, for example, and the rose could mean something. For example, it could mean a lady, or maybe some Malays will say that when you dream about a snake, it could mean that somebody is interested in you, right? A woman, a man is interested in a woman, but the man appears in the form of a snake. Okay, so there are books on this, how to interpret dreams. Okay, and he himself wrote Interpretation of Dreams, which explains to you the symbols. But because he was so engulfed by this idea that every thought that comes from our unconscious is related to sexual desire, he keeps interpreting all the signs, in a dream, for example, as related to sexual desire. So here, another form of dreaming would be displacement, where a thing, for example, could mean more than what it represents. For example, if you are dreaming about a crown, for example, you could be dreaming about a member of royalty that is about to propose to you, okay, or you are in love with a member of royalty, and so on. So when I was this is a bit unrelated, because I don't know whether this could be true also, that when you say that a dream can represent something that will happen, right? For example, Nabi Yusuf himself interpreted the dreams of his two fellow prisoners, right? Yeah, he said one was about to be beheaded when the person dreamt about a bread that was eaten from his head, right? Another person had better luck. I forgot what the other interpretation of a dream was. I think it was like something connected to wine, for example, and the other person was about to experience a good event in his life. Okay, so interpretations of dreams is something that Muslims believe in. Okay, but the major difference between this and psychoanalysis is that psychoanalysis believes that every sign in one's dream is related to sexual desire, and that's it. Freud was somebody who I believe also experienced some kind of psychosis, because he was, he related everything to sexual desire in a way. He had a stepmother who was very young. His original mother, his birth mother, died when he was young, so his father married again, and somehow he developed an affection for his stepmother. So that could be the reason why he had this problem with, sexual desire and so on. Yeah. So you have okay. You have also the idea that he believed young babies also have sexual feelings for his mother, or for their mother, because in the act of nursing, in the act of suckling from the mother's breast, the baby is experiencing some kind of pleasure. In the act of expelling things also, in the act of going to the toilet and you expel your feces in the toilet, you are experiencing pleasure that is related to sexual desire as well. So he believed in the idea very, he really believed in his idea. And then he said that, when every baby, whether it's a male or female, has incestuous desires for their mother, how does this baby become a normal person who has desire for other people? So for a male, it involves the idea of castration complex. In this castration complex, the baby is afraid. The baby is afraid that the father, male baby is afraid that the father has cut off the the sexual organ of the girl. So that therefore she does not have the penis. Okay, so he develops love for somebody outside the family. But for girls, Freud doesn't really explain how the girl develop or develop feelings for other people outside the family, because the girl is does not have a penis. She envies the brother who has one, and then she is angry with the mother because she thinks that the mother has punished her, the one who had punished her, so that she ends up without the male organ, and then she loves the mother. She loves the father because she is angry with the mother. Okay, but Freud does not explain how this love is transmitted to somebody outside the family. So this is, and then also Freud talks about the conscious ego. Okay, ego, which is our normal self, and also the idea of super ego, which is the father figure. And then lastly, we studied about the phallus, which is it is kind of the male. It resembles the male organ. It's like a sign, a symbol of male power. And because Freud, when he was talking about Oedipus complex, when he was talking about Electra complex, he was focused on the idea of the male organ, right? He didn't give this male organ what do you call that, a symbolism. Okay, it does not symbolize anything beyond the organ itself. But for Lacan, who's student, Lacan took this male organ and gave it a symbolic meaning. The phallus. The phallus is male power that is related to the male organ, having the male organ. So when Lacan said this, he was thinking that the great monuments that people build all resembles the male organ. If we look at this monument, I think this Washington Monument in Washington DC, it resembles the male organ. So you have this, this picture of somebody making fun of the idea of the phallus. But even though some people say that it is ridiculous to make such comparisons, when you look at the Chris, for example, it does resemble male power, right? And it does resemble the male organ in a way. So it's the idea of having a cigarette, for example, to smoke. Why are we, we see women sometimes who want to smoke, who smoke. Why do they feel like they have to smoke in order to be powerful, in order to be more masculine? Yeah. So it could also, there could be some truth to this, but obviously it is something that could be, what do you call that? It's not entirely true. Yeah? It's what you make of it that could affect what you think. Okay, so yeah. So anyone wants to ask me anything about this?
Doctor, I'm a bit confused. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a bit
Do you want
confused.
to ask me anything?
Yes, I would like to ask, how do we understand the connection between psychoanalysis and this sunat thing with criticizing a literature? Is that clear, doctor? Hello? Should I write my question? Should I type it?
Sorry, it's not really clear. Psychoanalysis and what? Shakira?
I'll type my question.
Okay, yes. How can we relate between the concept of psychoanalysis with criticism literature? Okay, so that's a very good question. I think I'm about to go to the slide wherein you can see the relationship between psychoanalysis and literature. Uh, the most obvious would be in the sense that the characters can experience Oedipus complex, for example, or Electra complex, even without knowing it. Okay, in here, in this slide here, let's see. Okay, I hope you can see it. I hope you can see the slide. Okay, so for example, Hamlet. Okay, Hamlet, the character of Shakespeare's play, delays killing his father because he used himself. He wants to kill his, not his father. He wants to kill his uncle Claudius because Claudius had killed his father, and his father is the one who told him about this. The ghost of his father told him about this at the beginning of the play. So from the beginning until the very end, he kept delaying killing his uncle Claudius, and the big question is why. So Ernst Jones, the critical, what do you call it, the literary critic, said that he keeps delaying the murder because he thinks he's like Claudius, because both of them, Claudius and Hamlet, desire the mother, have feelings for the mother, and Hamlet is trying to repress this feeling because he's the son of his father, and his father was a good man. He's trying to be good, no? But he cannot kill Claudius, even though he's trying to be good. He cannot kill Claudius. He cannot take revenge on behalf of his father because he is like Claudius. He likes his mother. He loves his mother. He has sexual desires for his mother. But only towards the end, when his mother is killed, okay, Gertrude is killed, and then there is some physical struggle between Claudius and himself. Did he kill his uncle? Okay, so Ernst Jones tried to tell his readers that Hamlet was experiencing Oedipus complex. He had feelings for his mother. Oedipus was, after all, a Greek character who married his own mother. So someone who has feelings for his own mother. So this is one way. And then another way is through the study of Frankenstein. Frankenstein, actually, it would be wrong to say that Frankenstein is the monster. Frankenstein was actually not the monster. He is the creation of Dr. Frankenstein. And in the novel by Mary Shelley, he is never called Frankenstein. He's called the monster. Although we don't have Oedipus complex, we have the son rebels against the father because he loves his mother. the father is viewed as being the enemy, yeah? Because the father is also in love with the mother. So in this Frankenstein story, we have sons who cause problems for their father because they are rebelling against them. The first rebellion is Dr. Frankenstein himself, who rebels against his father, who teaches him not to read, who asks him not to read certain books by Cornelius Agrippa. You know, a scientist. Cornelius Agrippa was actually a real life scientist who wrote about resurrecting the dead. Okay, so his father said, "Don't read Cornelius Agrippa," but this Dr. Frankenstein, when he was young, he continued reading Agrippa. So he was rebelling against the father, and finally, near the middle part of the novel, the father dies because the father is shocked by the murder that the monster had committed against other family members. So he didn't die at the hand of his son or at the hand of the monster, but he died because he was shocked because of what the monster had done, you know, to his family. And then the monster is also the son of Dr. Frankenstein, and the monster, in killing those surrounding the doctor, is enacting some kind of revenge against the doctor, because the doctor refuses to create Mrs. Monster. You know, his refuses to create a partner for him. So he decides to kill every one of the doctor's acquaintances, and not only acquaintances, just close friends and family. Yeah. So that is another form of that is how psychoanalysis is related to literature. And another way is to say that Mary Shelley herself is somebody who experienced, like Electra, experienced a desire for her father, yeah? But she cannot express this desire because it's wrong. So she suppresses it by marrying somebody outside of the family. So people say that Mary is also like, is, you know, because her name is similar to her mother's name. Her mother is also called Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin, and she is Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin before she married Percy Shelley and became Mary Shelley. She is like her mother in that sense. They are both in love with the father figure. So this is how we interpret it from this psychoanalytical point of view. Is that understandable? Do you understand it?
Well, doctor, yes, please go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to see the comment. I don't want to go forward. And some people say I'm talking very fast and they don't understand. So I really want to okay. So she said yes there. So what question do you have? Do you have any question?
So with psychoanalysis, whenever we look at any work of literature and we try to explore themes or character motivations, so we're always making it about sex, companionship, and love.
Yeah, in rebellion, father rebelling, son rebelling against father.
But the examples you mentioned,
father, you know?
The examples you mentioned with Frankenstein and the earlier story, they're all to do with parents. It's always against the parents. Is it always parents? Can it be other family members or people outside? Is there like a brother or sister complex, or is it always just mother-father complexes?
I don't really see it as having to do with sibling rivalry. You know? I think more like rebellion against father and mother, because that they figure prominently in psychoanalysis. The problems that you have may have something to do with their parental upbringing and so on, not sibling rivalry. So yeah, it could be that. You know? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then that means, right, in a psychoanalytical review, when we look at literature, whatever we do, we always have to find a way to trace it back to, it's because got mama problem or dad problem.
Yeah. That's what he believed also. Psychoanalysis, something to do with our, unless of course we had a sister or brother that became like a mother figure or father figure, then maybe our siblings will be involved also because there is a mother and father figure. But normally it will trace back to the father or mother.
Then in that case, it's not necessarily your biological mother and father, right? It's just the figure, as you say.
Yeah. Like Frankenstein, the Dr. Frankenstein is the father figure to the monster. He created the monster. Technically, there was no women who created the monster. He was the creation of a male ego, in a way, right? And he represented. Some people are saying that he represented the unconscious, the desire, which is uncontrolled, which has, because it's created in the figure of a monster, it has become uncontrollable, and they created a problem for society, because uncontrolled desire will create a problem, in society, especially if it's a male desire. But Freud didn't explain about female desire. He was more interested in male.
So in that Frankenstein story, Doctor, so we the explanation is how we explain Frankenstein's actions is that he's lashing out against his father figure, Dr. Frankenstein, because he was not given an outlet to vent out his male desires, i.e. Mrs. Frankenstein, as you said.
He lashed out at his father because he wasn't given an outlet for what do you call that, releasing his male desire. He wanted a female figure to be his partner, but he wasn't allowed that because Dr. Frankenstein, if you have read the novel, he was afraid that the monster would breed more minor monsters. If he had a female companion. So he abandoned the idea after constructing part of the body for the female monster. He abandoned the idea because he was afraid that they would procreate. And is it because parents usually hold power and control? Yeah, perhaps it becomes because they can be the figure of the super ego, right? It can be the super ego, and then can cause a lot of problems because the super ego and the ego are always at odds with each other. One is uncontrollable and the other is about control. So it could be that. And the super ego can also be other forms like the police, the law, the other forms of controlling oneself.
Then, Doctor, in that case, right, if we're talking about, since you mentioned police, so whenever then this sort of analysis or symbolism, we can take it outside just the family structure, right? So when you talk about if characters have a problem with positions of authority, they have problems with the government or police or any authority figures, then can we somehow trace it back to that, I don't know, that paternalistic or patriarchal system? It is about father figure or traditional authority figures, that sort of thing. And this is an act of rebellion against that so-called father figure, or the patriarch. Doesn't have to be, maybe not patriarch of the family, but patriarch of the society, the king or the monarch or the government in general, in that sort of thing. Can we do that, or is it?
Yeah, you can do that. It's like, because we have studied in post-structuralism, it could be like one signify could stand for many signifiers, right? So this patriarchal figure can also be not other than one's father, actual father. It can be society, it can be police, the police, and can be and anything that tries to control us, and tries to make us obey certain laws and so on. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else has any question? No.
Doctor, the one just now, the sister I think was mentioning the one with the controlling or powerful parents. If the parents are repressive, can we use that in the Hamlet example you described earlier? Since the character was forced into a state of abulia, they call it. He felt like he was powerless. He felt like he couldn't decide anything, so he kept postponing everything. But why did he feel so powerless? Then I think in the example slide it was mentioned that because of his upbringing, perhaps because the parents was too controlling, the parents were too strict, and he was stunted as a child. And then finally, when push came to shove, he finally did what he did as an act of rebellion against those once bad authority structures, against the parents, against the mom and dad. In that sense, is this a possible way to apply this?
Yeah, but you have to understand that he delayed the killing the murder of his uncle until the very end of the play, and the play is quite long, so you have to explain the delay also, right? Why he delayed killing his uncle. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the limitation, I didn't go through the limitation just now. The limitation of this approach is that it cannot be applied to all the works that you study. Okay, sometimes, and also very un-Islamic. I have another slide that tells you that it's un-Islamic, but I didn't have. I thought I wanted to elaborate that in this class, but I don't think I have enough time. But you know, the first limitation is that psychoanalysis is based on a myth. It's based on Oedipus Rex and Electra, the behaviors of these two characters. And obviously, Oedipus Rex and Electra are both fictional characters. They're not real people. So how can you base a psychological theory on fictional characters? But it's done in psychoanalysis. However, the other or in addition to that, you cannot also dispute this finding according to the psychoanalyst, because it deals with the unconscious. How do you know that the baby, for example, does not feel sexual desire for his mother? Can the baby answer you? Can you ask the baby, do you feel sexual desire for your mother? Can the baby say no or yes? So that's impossible, right? So we don't really, according to the psychoanalyst, we cannot really dispute the theory because of this. The other thing is, if you believe in this theory, you tend to apply it to every work of literature, and that's sometimes it doesn't suit the work. For example, we don't have the male rebellion, for example, or maybe Oedipus complex or Electra complex is absent. Yeah, and then sometimes also we can use this theory to explain the life of the author, and you can say that the author is experiencing some kind of Electra complex or Oedipus complex. But the problem with this is that can you really know for sure that the author had experienced it, Oedipus complex? Did he really have a problem with his father or his mother and so on? No. So here we have the example of Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in the Wonderland. Someone wrote that he had felt sexual desire for a gardener in his life, in one episode in his life. So the problem with that is that you never really know whether that's true or not. They can make unproven assumptions about that also. Yeah. So, does anyone have anything else you want to ask? There's Islamic point of view, and you can clearly see it. I will make a video of it later, but you can argue that Islam does not agree with this idea that the children have sexual desires for the parents. Obviously, that is very controversial, right? And children are born not with, they are clean, they are born clean, they are not, they don't have sexual desire, they don't let that rule their lives. Maybe later they would have sexual desire, but not as babies. They simply have, they simply experience pleasure. The problem with this, according to a very well-known Islamic psychologist, who is Dr. Malik Badri. Do you know Malik Badri? Yeah, he's somebody who used to work at UIA, but now he's working in Turkey. He's doing some research for the Turkey government. He is an Islamic psychologist who came up with various ways on how to treat mad people, abnormal people, using Islamic ways. And he said that some Islamic psychologists, sometimes they see children who, what do you call that, touch their private part often, and they say that these children are experiencing one stage, the first stage of what do you call that? The anal stage in the erythrogenic zones, which is to experience pleasure when you touch your private part. But he later proved this that he later discovered the psychologist later discovered that it was because he had an infection on his private part. That's why he was touching it. I know you can. He disagreed with Freud on that matter. He said that this theory was too focused on sex, on sexual desires, and so on. And then, and then some other Islamic psychologists also said that we have what do you call that? Religion is like a father figure to us, because it actually exists because we have this idea of superego. Religion, regulates our behavior, but we allow it, or it becomes a substitute for the father figure when we grow up. And our actual father, biological father is dead. The one that that controls our it and our consciousness, or our what do you call that? Our ego is the superego. The superego is religion. Yeah, but Dr. Madhuri said that it's not true. The superego is not religion. Religion is something that is inside of us, what we believe in, not a controlling body, a controlling agent that controls us and regulates our behavior. No, it is something that we are born with. We are born to believe that there is a God, that we are supposed to be good Muslims, and so on. So it's in our fitrah to believe in this God, not because there is a controlling body that regulates our behavior, and that's why we have religion. So anything that you want to ask about this? Basically, that's about it that he said. But you can see that this is a very controversial theory when you say that we are all suppressing our sexual desire, even in the act of listening to this, suppressing your sexual desire. In my act of teaching you, also I'm suppressing my sexual desire. So that with Freud, it's always sexual desire. It's what you want to do all the time, right? But obviously that's not true, right? Okay. So if it's true, I think you have some disease called sexual obsession or something like that. You're obsessed with sex. There are people who have that. David Duchovny, I had that disease. So, any questions you want to ask? Are the people asking?
Doctor, there's no explanation here for the female counterpart. He goes on about phallus. He talks about male desire and everything's motivated by that. But on the feminine side, what does he?
No, he is not interested in explaining about electron complex. Yeah, he said that he wasn't interested in ladies. He was more interested in men and what they experience. I think possibly because he is a man, he's interested in discovering about why he desired perhaps his stepmother and how he got out and how he can get out of this situation. Most people, he believes, he overgeneralized also. He said that every male is like that. Every male is like him. They desire their own mother. So they didn't really bother with the female part. So feminists are bothered by this because they believe in the idea of psychoanalysis, but they say that it doesn't represent women. It doesn't talk about women, so they came up with their own
So what's the opposite of phallic? Phallic is an adjective. This is a phallic symbol. If I wanted to say, okay, this is the female one, what do I say? This is the symbol.
I think we have to go through the feminism first before we
Yeah.
do that. But the thing is, women, the idea that women are constituted, are made up of lack. L-A-C-K, lack. They lack the phallus. They lack a male organ. That's why they have the lack of power. But some other post-structuralists came up with, post-structuralist French feminists came up with another symbol for female power. Yeah, so I think we go back. We have to go to feminism to understand that. theory, because feminism actually came from this psychoanalysis thing. Not all feminism comes from psychoanalysis. It's just post-structuralist feminists comes from or departs from Freud's idea. But the structuralists or Anglo-American feminists, they have their own discussion, their own discourse or way of talking about this subject. Okay. Okay. Anyone has any question there? Anyone question? Do you understand? I think then I will give you the quiz, but it's going to be open-ended, and you can answer the quiz within a certain limit of time. You can have more than one day. You can answer the question. So I just want to make sure that you understand what it's about, what we are learning. Yeah, especially because I cannot see you face to face. So we can try to answer the question on Tuesday after the break, and then I can see what you respond, how you respond to that question, in order to see or gauge your understanding of what we have studied.
Oh yeah, sorry, doctor. I wanted to ask about the. Oh yes, this quiz you're talking about. This one is this coming Tuesday, yeah.
The Helen Tizu. What is it?
I'm sorry. The first thing you mentioned was this quiz. This quiz is this quiz for this coming Tuesday.
No. It's Tuesday is the midterm break, right?
The midterm break. Okay, after that.
So
all right.
after the midterm break, yes.
Sorry about that. I have one question about the blog assignment we had. Doctor, the blog assignment, that one we had the 5 choices we could take: the poem, short story, novel. We have those 5 choices, right? And those 5 choices, do we study the same aspect? Suppose one member takes one novel, another member takes one short story. Do we all have to study? If, let's say, my group for the video, for the first assignment, we are studying archetypes. So for this blog, do we also study archetypes or something else?
No, you can do your own theory. It can be one person will be looking at novels from the archetypal point of view, and then another will be studying about plays from the feminist point of view. It can be any theory that you want to.
Oh, anything at all. These 5 people and their 5 medium. So they don't have to be unified.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be unified.
Oh, okay. Then, doctor, one more. You mentioned earlier that we can choose to write down the blog, or we can also choose to podcast it, right? And so, suppose, let's say, if I wanted to do podcast, does everyone in my team have to do podcast as well, or they can choose to?
No, they can do something else.
Oh, okay. And the last one, if I do podcast, do you need a report? Do you need a written report to go with it?
Yeah, preferably something written as well.
Oh, something written as well. Okay, to accompany it, yeah?
Yeah.
So it would be like a summary of what happens and what we talk about in the podcast, or would you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Podcast, I think mostly it's used to give more additional information. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, doctor. The pod. Oh dear. Sorry, I've forgot. How long should the podcast be?
I think no longer than a few minutes, like possibly 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Okay. Is the 3 to 5 minute range okay?
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
And does it have to be alone, doctor? Suppose I want to call up one partner to accompany me, or should I just do it solo?
It can be somebody else that you have decided.
No problem, eh?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else has any question?
Doctor, for the quiz, is it going to be open book test or not?
Again, what quiz?
For the quiz, is it going to be open book test or not?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's open book. Obviously, it's open book because I don't know. I cannot monitor you with this closed book, right? I don't know whether you can close your book or not. Yeah, but it's open book in that sense. I have to come up with the form if but it's okay. We don't have any form for this quiz. That's it's open book. Yeah. So it's not really going to be like a straightforward question. Obviously, some could be the easy ones could be like who came up with the idea of structuralism. Okay, very easy for that one. But there'll be some questions that are a bit more difficult to answer, even though you have books in front of you or maybe slides in front of you. You would have to use your brains a bit. Yeah.
Terribly sorry, Doctor. Just to reconfirm again, I've been a bit blurred today. So the date for that quiz you're talking about is it during our class time? So is it the first class time after the mid-sem break?
Yeah, I mean, I it's supposed to be, right? I mean,
Supposed to be. Okay, that's okay. I'm looking at the calendar now. So the first class we have after the mid-sem break, that would be on the 30th of November. If I'm wrong, someone also
the 30th of November.
That's on a Monday.
Okay, let me see. I thought it was going to be on the. Oh yes.
Am I right? Yeah. Okay.
But okay, you're going to view it. You're going to start at that time, but you can answer whenever you want to until maybe possibly because it's open book until the 2nd of December.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. That takes the pressure off.
Maybe I can say that at 12 on the 1st of December, you should 12 at night on the 1st of December, you should submit your answer and then.
Okay. So it's not within the class time only. It's going to be you release it and then it is going to be whole day, 2 days, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that will give time for everyone to answer it. But then you can also, other than the quiz, because I'm trying to finish the syllabus also, so I will give you some slides also, not slide, YouTube video on feminism as well. So you can view that. But it's not going to be on feminism. It's going to be the 3 questions that I have. The question that I have is from humanism and until post-structuralism, right? Okay. You want me to include psychoanalysis there also? No, of course not. Okay. So only on the 3 topics, right? Okay. So maybe for the next quiz we can have psychoanalysis and feminism. This is what I have done in the past, where I group the theories together, and then you have to answer. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's already 3:36. Anyone has any last question to ask me? Yeah, you can see Paris No has copied you, Sharinizam. He also went on for a ride for today's class, right? Yeah, perhaps it's easier to enjoy your lesson when you are driving. Eh? Okay, I do recommend that for everyone, of course. Okay, so I'll see you in our next class after the break, on the 2nd of December. Okay.
Okay,
So,
Doctor. Thank you.
You can ask me on WhatsApp. Okay, so bye. And wassalam. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you,
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, doctor.